All right, Bill and Hillary Clinton have refused to appear before two House Oversight Committee to testify as part of their investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. In an 8-page letter to Chairman Comer, Clinton's lawyers said they, quote, have already provided the limited information they possess about Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. They called the effort, quote, nothing more than a ploy and attempt to embarrass Trump's political rivals. Chairman Comer spoke to reporters outside the hearing room where Bill Clinton was due to testify earlier today and laid out what is coming next. Take a look.
As a result of Bill Clinton not showing up for his lawful subpoena, which again was voted on unanimously by the committee in a bipartisan manner, we will move next week in the House Oversight Committee markup to hold former President Clinton in contempt of Congress.
All right, so Chairman Comer joins us now. Is it true that Peter Navarro was held in contempt and he went to prison, and Steve Bannon held in contempt and he went to prison? Did that happen in those cases?
100%. When Democrats subpoenaed Republicans and the Republicans didn't show, they held them in contempt, and the Department of Justice prosecuted them.
And do we have 17 chronicled examples of Jeffrey Epstein visiting Bill Clinton when he was president of our country?
Yes, Sean. When Bill Clinton was president, Jeffrey Epstein went to the White House 17 times, and then post-presidency, Bill Clinton flew on Jeffrey Epstein's plane at least 27 times. So that shows they were close. Again, no one's accusing Bill Clinton of any wrongdoing. We just have questions. And the Democrats in Congress, they've gone, all full war mode on trying to get people in to talk about Epstein. But when it came to Bill Clinton, initially the Democrats voted for the subpoena, and they said, yeah, we want to hear from Bill Clinton too. Today they were a no-show. They didn't even come to the deposition, and they're all running and evading reporters who, quite surprisingly, the mainstream media has been pretty critical that Bill Clinton didn't show up for this subpoena.
And just as a matter of reference, didn't Donald Trump throw Epstein out of his club some 25 years ago because of his behavior with young women that he found inappropriate?
Yes,
if somebody had
Trump,
incriminating information on Donald Trump, would he so publicly in a town like Palm Beach, where social circles, I guess, matter to a lot of people, would he publicly do that if he had incriminating information?
Yeah, look, Donald Trump has answered thousands of questions from the American public and from the media about Epstein. To my knowledge, Bill Clinton hasn't answered any questions. And what he said in that letter, he's provided us his information about his knowledge of Epstein. He didn't provide hardly any information for someone that allowed Epstein to go to the White House 17 times while he was president and then fly on his plane 27 times. So we have questions. If anyone in America is interested in Epstein and getting to the truth about what really happened and who needs to be held accountable and how the government failed the victims, then Bill Clinton is someone that would be a person of interest, whether you're a Republican or Democrat.
Well, I find this so interesting because there are a lot of so-called people that claim to be conservatives, only when it's convenient, in my view, demanding Donald Trump. Joe Biden had access to this information. He never released it. But I'm seeing pictures of Bill Clinton all over the place with young women in a hot tub, mystery women sitting on his lap in Jeffrey Epstein's plane, swimming in a pool with a woman that looks pretty naked to me, Ghislaine Maxwell and somebody else. I think he has some explaining to do, considering so many people wanted Donald Trump to answer, no?
You're exactly right. The American people are interested in this. They want to know the truth. We're trying to provide the truth on the Oversight Committee. This subpoena wasn't just issued by me. It was voted on unanimously by the Oversight Committee. Every Democrat in that committee voted for this subpoena. So the President Clinton is not telling the truth when he says this is partisan. This is a bipartisan subpoena.
All right. Donald Trump never flew on the plane, from what I understand, either. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.